And so, growth now presents us with a dilemma. On the one hand, it is associated with many of our greatest triumphs and achievements. But on the other, it is also related to many of the greatest problems that we confront today. The promise of growth pulls us, at times desperately and violently, towards pursuing ever more of it. But its price pushes us away from that chase with a powerful force as well. It is as if we cannot go on, and yet we must. The second half of this book explores this dilemma, how it emerged, how we have failed to engage it, why we lack serious ideas for responding to it, and what we ought to do. In recent years, I've come to believe that confronting the growth dilemma is one of the most important tasks that now faces humankind. Our failure to do so until now means that we are on a dangerous path. Taking the challenge seriously is not only a chance to change that direction of travel for the better, but, as we shall see, an opportunity for moral revitalization, to create a renewed sense of collective purpose in society in pursuit of what really matters, not simply a more prosperous economy, but the many other ends that people care about, from a fairer society to a healthier planet. Taken together, then, this book tells the full story of growth. Its mysterious past, its troubling present, and its uncertain future, which now falls to us to shape. In part, this is a book of ideas about how some of the greatest minds have tried, and often failed, to understand this important phenomenon. How our leaders accidentally put its pursuit at the centre of our political lives only a few decades ago, and how economic growth quickly became one of our most treasured and dangerous ideas. What follows will carry us well beyond the boundaries of any particular discipline, raising exciting and unsettling questions. Why human existence was so miserable for so long, whether living standards can improve forever, what exactly we ought to value in society, and if we ought to care for trillions of people who are yet to be born. But this is also a practical book, a guide to how we should address the growth dilemma in the real world. Although the story I tell roams from the remote past to the distant future, its lessons matter most for thinking about how to act in the present moment. The present urgency. It is hard to think of a time when the pursuit of more growth has seemed more vital. As the 20th century came to an end, leaders were confident that they knew what they were doing, that steadily increasing prosperity was a sensible and achievable shared goal. In the United States, economists spoke of the Great Moderation. In the United Kingdom, politicians celebrated the end of boom and bust. The idea that sustained growth could be achieved through modest interventions was taken for granted. And our apparent success created the impression that an expanding economy was the norm, with any slowdown to be regarded as an unfortunate but temporary exception. Today, that assuredness feels misplaced. Almost every country has slumped its way into the 21st century, though the timings differ. Japan and Germany started spluttering in the mid-1990s, the US and UK in the mid-2000s, China in the 2010s. Most economies battered by 2 decades of crises, including the dot-com bust, the 2007-8 financial crisis, and the COVID-19 pandemic, are sluggish shadows of former selves. We increasingly realize we cannot take growth for granted. In response, political leaders in almost every country have thrust more growth to the very top of their priorities. But it is far from clear whether they or those who advise them understand what must be done to achieve it. This book, in part, hopes to fix that. Yet if only the problem were as simple as that. For at the same time, it is also hard to think of a moment when the pursuit of more growth has seemed more dangerous. Of course, the dangers that